Today is June 29th. When is settling a good thing? Well, let's read what Jesus has to say about settling. The next paragraph, Jesus talks about how he came to divide even family members against each other. We've talked about that before. Then he talks about interpreting the time. We've talked about that. I'm not going to mention it, but I want to read that as an introduction to what he says at the very end of chapter 12, starting in verse 54. He also said to the crowds, when you see a cloud rising in the west, you immediately say it's going to rain. And so it happens. When you see the south wind blowing, you say, there'll be scorching heat. And it happens. You hypocrites. You know how to interpret the appearance of earth and sky, but why do you not know how to interpret the present time? Why do you not judge for yourselves what's right? When you go with your accuser before a magistrate, on the way make an effort to reach a settlement, or you may be dragged before the judge, and the judge hand you over to the officer, and the officer throw you in prison. I tell you, you'll never get out until you have paid the very last penny. You and an adversary going to a judge, obviously you have something for the judge to settle. Jesus says, settle before you get to the judge. This is when settling is a good thing. This word for settle is related to the word for reconcile. It's even translated once, reconcile with your brother. Throughout the Old Testament, we do see people entering into agreements, but one of the most beautiful stories of reconciliation happens in Genesis 33. Let's read Genesis 33 and see how Jacob reconciled to Esau.
Genesis 33, New Revised Standard Edition. Now Jacob looked up and saw Esau coming, and 400 men with him. So he divided the children among Leah and Rachel and the two maids. He put the maids with their children in front, then Leah with her children, and Rachel and Joseph last of all. He himself went on ahead of them, bowing himself to the ground 7 times until he came near his brother. But Esau ran to meet him and embraced him and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. When Esau looked up and saw the women and children, he said, Who are these with you? Jacob said, The children whom God has graciously given your servant. Then the maids drew near, they and their children, and bowed down. Leah likewise and her children drew near and bowed down. And finally Joseph and Rachel drew near and bowed down. Esau said, What do you mean by all this company that I met? Jacob answered, To find favor with my Lord. But Esau said, I have enough, my brother. Keep what you have for yourself. Jacob said, No, please, if I find favor with you, then accept my present from my hand, for truly to see your face is like seeing the face of God. Since you have received me with such favor, please accept my gift that is brought to you, because God has dealt graciously with me, and because I have everything I want. So he urged him, and he took it. Then Esau said, Let us journey on our way, and I will go alongside you. But Jacob said to him, My Lord knows that the children are frail, and that the flocks and herds which are nursing are a care to me. And if they are overdriven for one day, all the flocks will die. Let my Lord pass on ahead of his servant, and I will lead on slowly, according to the pace of the cattle that are before me, and according to the pace of the children, until I come to my Lord in Seir. So Esau said, Let me leave you with some of the people who are with me. But he said, Why should my Lord be so kind to me? So Esau returned that day on his way to Seir. But Jacob journeyed to Succoth, and built himself a house, and made booths for his cattle. Therefore the place is called Succoth. Jacob came safely to the city of Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan, on his way to Paddan Aram, and he camped before the city. And from the sons of Hamor, Shechem's father, he bought for 100 pieces of money the plot of land on which he pitched his tent. There he erected an altar and called it El Elohe Israel.
So as you read Genesis 33, did it bother you? Did it seem like Jacob was offering a bribe to Esau? Well, remember what Jacob's sin was. He stole the birthright from Esau. You know what the birthright was? It was land and cattle. Jacob comes not bribing Esau, but doing restitution to Esau. He gave him the cattle that he would have gotten through the birthright. It is a story of reconciliation. The gifts that Jacob gave were very significant. Jesus says reconciliation is key as you live your Christian life. Be sure to reconcile with anyone who is opposed to you. So what do we do about this today? Take a look at the people in your life. Is there someone that you do have an issue with? Reconcile. Scripture reading from the New Revised Standard Version by Emily Herrera. If you have a question, drop it in the comments section below.